Hey everyone, welcome to my 100th solo acoustic tutorial. I felt I had to do something special, so I went for this arrangement of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. First, the usual stuff. The full lesson is split up into several parts and only the first part will be released on YouTube. For full access, you can check out my website or my Patreon page. Both offer different perks at different pricing points, so there should be something for everyone. If you want the tab and notation file, then do it over to the website, look up the song and click on the music notes icon. That way, you'll get a 20% discount. No account or login is necessary to do this. For my 100th full song tutorial, I felt I couldn't just go for any other song, so I picked, and I think it goes without saying, one of the most challenging ones out there. Now, you saw the title, you saw the term solo acoustic and the word tutorial, and you still clicked. So you are looking for a challenge. And boy, am I going to give you one. Now, before anyone thinks, well, this is only playable if you're some high-level virtuoso, let me show you this. This is an old video of me playing this arrangement when I was 17 years old. I hadn't decided yet I was going to become a working musician and I had never played any real fingerstyle songs yet. This arrangement was dangled in front of me by my guitar teacher at the time with the same introduction as I'm giving you. Are you looking for a challenge? I took the bait and it turned out to be a pivotal decision in my life as a musician. This is the song that made practicing click for me. It taught me that if I stay patient and keep at it, things will come together eventually. It took me over a year to learn this back then. And it was the song that convinced the entrance jury of the School of Arts to let me start my professional music education. Without this arrangement, I would probably be doing something completely different. Now, the original guitar arrangement was published in the 1997 summer issue of Total Guitar, and Kit Morgan was the wizard who put the original arrangement together. Before starting any work on this lesson, I got in touch with Mr. Morgan and he kindly gave his permission to use his arrangement. So thank you very much, sir. He told me he created his arrangement because he was a big fan of Martin Taylor's solo work and he wanted to be able to play songs on his own as well. Now, there are two major aspects that make this arrangement challenging: the amount of music you have to memorize and building your fretting hand stamina. You are going to be holding down a lot of bar chords. And you're going to feel it in your fretting hand no matter how much experience you have on the guitar. This is pretty brutal stuff. Now, I used Mr. Morgan's arrangement as a starting point and made some changes. He created his arrangement on a Gibson 335, a guitar, an electric guitar with excellent upper fret access. Since we do most of our work here on an acoustic guitar, I decided to change the parts where you need to go all the way up the neck. I do want to mention that playing this arrangement on a standard non-cutaway acoustic, as I'm doing in the lesson, is the hardest option by far, and I'm feeling the burn of that decision quite a few times during the lesson. An acoustic with a cutaway will already make certain parts a lot easier, and playing it on an electric guitar, as originally intended, will make those bar chords far less demanding. For those of you who want to learn this on an electric, I do always go over the original high fret variations as well. So 6 completely different parts, loads of variations to go through. We're going to be here for a while, so let's get started, shall we? The guitar is in standard tuning and you need nothing else. No capo, no flat pick, no thumb pick, just plain fingers, and a guitar in standard tuning. I'm playing an acoustic where the neck joins the body at the 14th fret, and that is going to be the absolute minimum. People playing a classical guitar or a 12th fret guitar where the neck joins the body at the 12th fret, that is going to make things probably near impossible. You're going to spend quite a bit of time on that 14th fret, so having the body at the 12th fret already is just going to complicate things too much. Enough talking, I'm going to go through the first section of the intro. Let's hear what you're up against. Here we go. That isn't too bad, but I'm going to be honest, this is not the original arrangement. This is the first chord of the original arrangement. And good luck just grabbing that on the it's downright painful. So 13th fret, 11th fret, 9th fret, and 7th fret. This is how the vocals were originally arranged in the famous Queen recording, but such close voicings are really difficult to play on a guitar. So when I learned this song over 20 years ago, my teacher back then, Igor, he learned me a thing or two about drop two voicings, a technique that is used in jazz, where you are going to rearrange certain notes within a chord voicing. Doing that, you end up with chord voicings that are a lot easier to play. We start out with a G sharp minor 7th chord, index finger 6th fret on the D string, ring finger 8th fret on the G string, and then it's up to you. You can play a partial bar with the middle finger on the 7th fret on the B string and high E string, or you can go for two separate fingers and then you're going to have to use the pinky on the G string. This works just as well. You just play that chord. That's all that happens in the first bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then down to a bar, you just drop the bar across the 6th fret, across the top of 4 strings, and you add the middle finger to the 7th fret on top. This is a C sharp dominant chord. Pluck twice, and then moving over. Again, two of voicing somewhat, this is basically a drop two voicing for a G sharp minor 7 sus4 chord. Index finger still on the 6th fret, ring finger again on the 8th fret, middle finger on the 7th fret on the B string, and the pinky 9th fret on the high E string. Back to the C sharp dominant chord, then you drop down the bar to the 4th fret, still on the top 4 strings, and you add the pinky to the 6th fret for a G sharp minor 9th chord. Then you're going to remove the bar, drop down the pinky on the high E string to the 4th fret. This is C sharp dominant with E sharp in the bass, middle finger 3rd fret on the D string, ring finger 4th fret on the G string, and index finger 2nd fret on the B string. That is the final chord of the second bar. So that is where you end up. Those first two bars back to back. And then we move back up. We keep the pinky and the ring finger on the strings, G string and E string, where they're at, and you just move them up 2 frets to the 6th fret. You add the index finger to the 4th fret on the D string and the middle finger to the 5th fret on the B string, giving you F sharp dominant 7. 3 times in a row. You still keep the pinky on the high E string, move it up to the 7th fret, and you go for this chord voicing, A major 7, middle finger 6th fret on the D string, ring finger 6th fret on the G string, index finger 5th fret on the B string. So from F sharp dominant and back to the F sharp dominant chord, you play the bass note twice, and then we move up the neck. 7th fret, just a standard B chord, ring finger 9th fret on the D string, middle finger 8th fret on the G string, and a small bar on top across 2 strings, B string and E string, on the high E string. Move up 2 frets to C, you extend the bar to the G string, and you remove the middle finger for a C sharp minor chord. Back to the B chord, and now a bit of a strange voicing. Instead of making a really big jump, we're going to move down the ring finger to the 8th fret. We're going to do the same thing with the index finger, moving from the bar to the 6th fret on the G string, and add the pinky on the 9th fret on the B string, together with an open E string on top. So you're getting 8th fret, 6th fret, 9th fret, and an open E string down below. So this close voicing would be really difficult to play if you're grabbing everything or trying to fret every note. With that open E string, it becomes quite easy, and then ending up on a standard B chord, ring finger 9th fret on the A string, pinky 9th fret on the D string, middle finger 8th fret on the G string, index finger 7th fret on the B string. Just that last bar. And that is where we finish up the first part of the intro. Those last 2 bars, one more time, starting on the F sharp dominant chord. Intro one more time. You may notice, if you're practicing this, that low E string, and sometimes even the A string, has the tendency to start resonating. What I'm doing now is I'm muting that low E string by resting the palm of my hand on that bass string. So that might help for you as well to clean things up a little bit. The full intro one more time, really slowly. And now we're diving into the second part of the intro. This is the section where in the original recording the piano comes in. So again, let's have a listen and see what we're up against. And that is already where we're diving into the first verse. Now, straight up, loads of bar chords. You're going to feel this in the left hand. I'm going to repeat this quite often in the lesson. Take this slowly. Build up your left hand strength. It's going to be necessary. We start with a plain and simple G sharp minor 7 voicing. Bar across the 4th fret, across all 6 strings, with only the ring finger on the 6th fret on the A string. G sharp minor 7. And we're picking every single melody note is on the B string, 4th fret, and we're just arpeggiating with the thumb up the chord from the E string to the A string, D string, and G string. So 1, 2, 3. Just going up and picking the B string on each and every 8th note. 1 and 2 and 3. Back to the bass note and just arpeggiating the full chord now. D string, G string, B string. That's the first bar. Now we're moving to a B chord. I'm going to play a standard B chord. The original is a dominant chord, but it's already going to take the load off of the left hand a little bit. Index finger, 2nd fret on the A string, ring finger, 4th fret on the G string, pinky, 4th fret on the B string. Don't grab a bar straight away. You're going to tire out your hand before it's really necessary otherwise. You start with the A string, G string and B string at the same time, repick the B string to an open E string, and then you drop down the index finger as a bar to include the 2nd fret on the high E string together with the 4th fret on the G string. 1 and 2 and 3 and repicking A string, 2nd fret, G string, 4th fret, and then a really big shift with the middle finger all the way up to the 13th fret on the G string. That bar in full. And I'm actively muting all the strings to make that jump. It's impossible to make this sound legato. The jump is too big. Just lean into it and mute. Those first 2 bars. As that 13th fret rings out into the next bar, just a low E string, and you're going to grab a small E chord. Now, this is the first time where a regular acoustic shape is going to give some problems because there's not really a lot of room to grab an E chord up here. If you have a cutaway, this is not going to be that difficult. On a standard acoustic, it might give some issues. So 13th fret, front of the beat, open E string, and then just a standard, basically the same bar chord we used in the intro on the B chord, all the way up to the 12th fret, 14th fret, ring finger, 13th fret, middle finger, and a small bar with the index finger across the 2 top strings. On the 12th fret, 1, 2, just arpeggiating E string, D string, G string, B string, and then moving over the pinky and the ring finger to the 14th fret on the G string and B string. 1, 2, 3. Still holding down that bar on the high E string. This hurts, I'm not going to lie. Again, with a cutaway, a lot easier to do. You remove the ring finger and the pinky. I hope you're still holding down that middle finger and index finger, and you pluck again G string and B string to the high E string. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this section, I'm going to slow down because again, we're going to have to do a really big shift back down to the 4th fret. So just lean a little bit back on the timing. 1, 2, 3, 4. And sort of a small pause at the end there. That to me seems like the first logical section of the piano intro, just 3 bars. I'm going to play them back to back one more time. Next section, down, C sharp minor chord, bar across 5 strings on the 4th fret, adding the ring finger on the 6th fret on the D string and the middle finger on the 5th fret on the B string. C sharp minor 7. Again, just arpeggiating while keeping the melody all on the same string, the high E string this time. That's all that happens. High E string on every 8th note, and then with the thumb from the A string to the D string to the G string, and then all the way, if you want to, up to the B string with the thumb, or you plug that with the index finger, for instance. Back to the A string, back to the high E string. Now remove the middle finger, 4th fret on the B string with the bar, and back to the 5th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we drop down to the 2nd fret, again bar across all 6 strings, bar across all 6 strings on the 2nd fret, adding the middle finger to the 3rd fret on the G string and the ring finger to the 4th fret on the A string, F sharp dominant 7, same thing again, E string, low E string together with the high E string, to the D string, together with the high E string, to the G string, and as you play the G string together with the high E string, you hammer on with the pinky to the 4th fret. 1, 2, 3. After that, hammer on straight back to the 2nd fret, still holding that down with the bar, and back to the low E bass note. 1, 2, 3. Then you pluck G string and B string at the same time, still holding down the chord shape, adding the pinky to the 4th fret on the B string this time, and then to an open E string on top. And that open E string is going to give you the room to move up to the 8th fret. This is a chord shape you're going to play quite often, a small bar across 2 strings. This case on the high E string and the B string on the 8th fret, adding only the middle finger to the 9th fret on the G string. Before we head into that section, first those first 2 bars back to back. And as you have maybe already noticed, on that F sharp dominant chord, I'm not really paying attention to which chord tones I'm playing. You can arpeggiate basically throughout the entire chord. If you're aiming mostly for the top strings, you don't even have to push down on the ring finger on the 4th fret, maybe saving a little bit of energy. So one more time, sorry. To that small C chord on the 8th fret, and we're just going to move that up and down. And what happens is the thumb always picks on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all that happens. We're moving that chord shape down from the 8th fret, C, to B on the 7th fret, to B flat on the 6th fret, and back up to B. That's all that happens. Thumb always on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fingers pick in between sometimes as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's thumb on each beat, and whenever I'm playing a chord, it's index finger, middle finger. You might also notice that ring finger sticking up here. I'm muting the bass strings with this to make sure that I don't get, if I don't do that and I leave those chords, that's what you get, all those overtones down below. So to keep it clean, I'm muting with the ring finger. You could use the palm of the hand as well. This is with the palm of the hand. And then into the next part, before we do that, these 4 bars all the way through. Next, 3 to 4 bars, E chord. Big open E string down below, small bar on top, 4th fret across 3 strings, G string, B string, and high E string, adding the ring finger to the 6th fret on the D string, and the middle finger to the 5th fret on the B string. Open E string together with the high E string on top, 4th fret, to the D string, to the B string, to the E string, basically again the same thing, just keeping the melody note on the same fret and on the same string, and arpeggiating the chord underneath with the thumb. 1, 2, to B over D sharp, B chord with a D sharp in the bass, ring finger, 7th fret on the B string, middle finger, 6th fret on the A string. This is a tricky voicing. Then index finger, 4th fret on the B string, and then pinky 7th fret on the high E string. So A string and B string at the same time, to the G string, to the high E string, and back to the G string. Grabbing this chord is tricky. Start with the ring finger and the middle finger and then add the other fingers as you need them. So these two first, then drop the index finger, then to the pinky and back to the index finger. So those two chords back to back. To the same chord shape we used in the beginning in the intro, now just on this string on the 5th fret. This is a diminished chord shape now. So in the intro it was a dominant chord shape. If we just move it up one string starting on the A string, it's a diminished chord shape. Same trick, melody note on top and arpeggiating the rest of the chord, A string, D string, G string, before moving up to the 7th fret. 1, 2, 3, 2. Again, F sharp dominant, the same one we already played. That F sharp chord is again the same thing. Bar across the 2nd fret, ring finger, middle finger, and we're going to play the low E string and the high E string. But first we're going to start out with the pinky as well, on the 4th fret on the D string. 3, 4, 1. And again, to make things a bit lighter, we're going to drop the bar, raise it up and play an open E string on top. Arpeggio up, so low E string, high E string, A string, D string, G string, and again to the low E string and high E string, B string, 3rd fret, up to the 4th fret. How we're going to move up to that 4th fret, that is going to be up to you. I'm going to show you that in a second. Just those 2 bars back to back, starting on the diminished chord. Now you could slide up to the 3rd fret, or you could just play an open B string as well. And then grabbing the full B chord right after that, sliding up, and then grabbing the full B chord works as well. So this is something that you can pick and choose. That B chord by itself is just holding down the 2nd fret, but you're going to need the 2nd fret on the low E string as well. So a small bar, E string and A string, and then a bar with the ring finger across 4 strings on the 4th fret from the D string to the high E string. 1, 2, so the first 2 beats is nothing but arpeggiating A string, G string at the same time, D string, G string, B string, and then E string and high E string at the same time. 1, 2, 3, to the D string, and now press down on the bar across the entire width of the neck on the 2nd fret and remove the ring finger, because you're going to need the 2nd fret on the high E string as well. The same thing 2 times in a row, exactly the same bar. So let's have one more look, starting on the E chord on the 4th fret, that whole last section back to back. Then you're going to stick to that B chord for the first bar of the verse as well. So that was the full intro. We already looked at the a cappella section. Now I'm going to play one more time through the entire piano intro, and then we're ready to close down this first part of the lesson. Here we go. time sticking to the B chord for the first chord of the verse. That was part 1 of the tutorial. I hope you had fun going through this first section. It's already challenging, but the real meat is still to come. The guitar solo, the opera part, the rock section, that is the really challenging stuff. Now, for people watching on YouTube, now is the time to switch over to my Patreon page or my website. I hope to see you there soon. For everyone else, take care and bye-bye.